Astrological forecast for December 2025 for representatives of the sign of Scorpio. December 2025 for you is a time when you will feel confident in your element. Even when you find yourself in some new situations for you, you will feel calm, knowing exactly what needs to be done. The majority of astrological events in December will affect your second astro field. This is the sector of your horoscope that symbolizes personal income, personal property, personal assets, and also your self-esteem. Moreover, both the full moon and the new moon of December will pass along the energetic financial axis of your horoscope. Therefore, the majority of relevant topics in December for your sign will be related to your income, your expense items, your personal property, and your savings. These are questions of your mutual settlements with other people, organizations, the state, questions related to your standard of living. These are questions of your salary level, your bonuses, premiums, or social payments. These are questions of passive sources of income and, in general, the effectiveness of your decisions and actions. Despite the fact that you will successfully and rationally solve all current issues, nevertheless, it is the financial sphere of your life that will require more attention. After all, it is into this sector on December 20th that the Black Moon Lilith, the projection of the demon tempter, moves. The Black Moon is still visiting your sign, allowing you to get from life what previously seemed impossible. And on December 20th, the Black Moon, the sphere of temptations, seductions, and mistakes, moves into your financial sector and will linger here for 9 months. It is the financial sphere of your life that will become the sector where the Black Moon, Lilith, will set its traps. The Black Moon inclines towards excess, towards obsession, inclines us towards groundless fears, extremes from a regime of strict economy to squandering. That is, the Black Moon rocks the scales. This month there will be several astrological aspects of luck that will affect precisely your sign. And this shows that here you will not only manage to be in the right place at the right time, but also use this circumstance in the most favorable way. You will be able to do something very timely. It can be anything, from a timely spoken word to a shown initiative or some decision or step. Nevertheless, there will also be several days in December, which we will also talk about, when you may encounter unfounded criticism directed at you, encounter claims and reproaches towards you. Starting from the middle of this month, many planets begin to move into your third house of the horoscope, and an even more active time begins for you, and an active time in the good sense of the word. You literally will not sit still. Here you will have to manage many processes, think through and organize a lot, and far from all of this will concern your personal affairs. But such is your mission, the mission to influence not only your own life but also the affairs of other people. The end of the month, or more precisely the final day of 2025, will gift us with an aspect of luck from the planet Mars in relation to the karmic lunar nodes, which will enhance your optimism, so to speak, despite external circumstances. Let's discuss in more detail the most important astrological events of December and their influence on your sign step by step. On December 4th, a full moon occurs in the sign of Gemini in your 8th house of the horoscope. The full moon completes some situations, gives clarity in them, and this full moon for your sign completes processes, situations that are related to your mutual settlements with other people, organizations, or the state. This is a time when you will resolve issues that are related to some debt, arrears, with payment of your financial obligations. Here, an issue related to the acquisition of an insurance policy or a question related to a joint purchase may be resolved. Since the 8th house, in which this full moon occurs, is the house of joint resources, joint assets, and property. Also, this sector symbolizes the income level of your partner in personal life. So here too there will be some clarity and clear joint plans. At this time, you can resolve an issue related to your investments in something from which you expect to receive passive income. Also, this is a time when you will feel that something has changed in the space. Since the 8th house is the house of the phoenix bird, it is the house of rebirth. Therefore, during this period, you will feel that something has changed. Even if not by events, then by mood, by the energetic fullness of the space around you. On December 5th, the sun will be located exactly between the karmic lunar nodes. The sun will be at the nodes between the past and the future. And in your horoscope, this will affect the 2nd, 5th, and 11th astro fields. This is such a midpoint between events that took place around September 10th of this year and events that will take place around February 27th, 2026. This day will bring you the necessity to make a choice or make a decision, or the events of this day may somehow echo those decisions that you made around September 10th. Since the sun during this period is in your 2nd house of the horoscope, the sector of your assets, income, then the matter in question is somehow connected with the theme of income level, standard of living, with your investments and the assessment of the effectiveness of your ideas and your undertakings. On December 6th and 7th, a trigon of luck will form in the starry sky between the planet Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn. And this trigon of luck will affect your 1st, 5th, and 9th astro fields. That is, it will directly affect your zodiac sign, since Mercury is currently in the 1st house of your horoscope. These days will bring you a lucky flow, a lucky confluence of circumstances. You will be able to be in the right place at the right time, make a timely decision, or generally do something very timely. It could be your word, decision, or some step. These are very successful days for solving any issues. Success awaits you. At the same time, much here will depend on your settings, since Mercury is the planet of information, words, mental activity. Mercury is in your sign. Therefore, what you think about, what you want, and what you talk about will depend a lot. Your success will depend on it. On December 9th, the planet Mars, the source of strength, energy, and actions, will be in a tense aspect in a square in relation to the planet Saturn. And this day may bring you some additional expenses. Expenses that you knew about in advance, but it will still be a pity to part with this money. Also on this day, you may have a very strong desire to show stubbornness, perseverance, and achieve your goal at any cost. On December 11th, the planet Venus, which symbolizes all earthly joys and blessings, will be located exactly between the karmic lunar nodes. This is such an interesting, control, testing day. And by its events, by its mood, emotional fullness, by its aftertaste, one can judge how satisfied you are with the income level you have now, the standard of living you are at. Here you will be able to make important conclusions for yourself about how satisfied you are with life in general, how much you allow yourself this, how much you allow yourself some pleasures, entertainment, and not only important responsible matters. On December 12th, the planet Mercury, which in our horoscope symbolizes information, logic, memory, our mental activity, symbolizes communications. Mercury leaves your sign and moves into your 2nd astro field. This is the sector of finance, personal finances, resources, and income. And now you will have many thoughts about the income of the future period. That is, about those prospects that you have and which are related precisely to obtaining income. That is, Mercury in this sector will direct your thoughts towards financial planning, towards investments in something that will become a source of income for you. These can be investments, both in the literal sense of the word, as a financial investment in some business, process that will bring income, and as investments in yourself, for example, in your education in order to have the opportunity to work in your chosen profession in the future. That is, in general, this is a time when you will think a lot about money and resources. Moreover, these will not even be questions of today, but questions for the future. On December 14th, the planet Mars will be in a tense aspect in relation to the planet Neptune. This day may leave an aftertaste of some unclear, illogical, and ineffective actions. There may be such confusing and unclear situations here, and if possible, on this day you should not make important decisions. And also, again, if possible, you should not try to figure something out. On December 15th, the planet Mars, the source of strength, energy, and actions, moves into the space of the sign Capricorn, into your 3rd house of the horoscope. Mars is strength, speed, movement, and the 3rd house is the house of our informational interaction with the surrounding world. And for you, an active period begins, a time when your decision will not diverge from action, when you will very quickly proceed to implement what you have decided. A very active period begins for you, a hyperactive one, when you literally will not sit still, when you will need to go somewhere, walk, talk to someone, call somewhere, write something, discuss, decide. That is a very active time. And the initiatives that you show now will undoubtedly bring you good results. The main thing is not to rush too much and take into account external circumstances, and not only your own decisions. In the period from December 17th to 21st, the Sun will be in tense aspects in relation to the planets Saturn and Neptune. And for all zodiac signs, this is the time for summing up the results of the year. However, given these aspects of the Sun, here the summing up of the year will be as objective and even harsh as possible. This is a time when we critically evaluate and compare expectations and reality. And considering that the Sun during this period is in your second house of the horoscope, in the sector of your finances, resources, and assets, then first of all, this summing up for you will concern precisely the financial sphere and also the sphere of the effectiveness of your investments. Investments both as financial investments in something and as investments of your time and your efforts. On December 20th, the Black Moon Lilith. The projection of the demon tempter in our horoscope leaves your sign and moves into the space of your second house of the horoscope, where it will linger for 9 months. The Black Moon creates traps, gives us the opportunity to make mistakes. It creates mirages, a chase after mirages. In detail about what this long 9-month transit of the Black Moon through the sector of your finances and resources will bring, I will make a separate video about that. On the same day, December 20th, a new moon occurs. A new moon in the sign Sagittarius in your second house of the horoscope. The new moon is the birth of new energy. The new moon brings us something new, and since it occurs in the sector of your finances, resources, and assets, something new will come precisely into this sphere of your life. For some, this is a new source of income. For some, new financial plans. For some, new expense items. This is a time when you may visit a bank to apply for or reissue a card of this bank or an account. During this period, you may have new plans, new hobbies, new ideas that, yes, will require financial investments. Also, at this time, you may receive income from afar or deal with financial reporting issues. On December 21st at 15:03 Greenwich Mean Time, the Sun moves from the space of the sign Capricorn into your third house of the horoscope. This is a very important day. It is such a control point. It is one of the 4 cardinal points of the year. This is the day of the winter solstice, or the birthday of the new sun. It is on this day, from an astronomical point of view, that winter begins in the northern hemisphere. This is an important point. And on this day, or rather on this evening, it is worth finding time to think about your goals and tasks for 2026. Since it is on this day that we sow those seeds that will sprout in the 20s of March 2026, giving us opportunities, real opportunities, giving us the impulse to achieve our goals. In the period from December 20th to 24th, the planet Venus, which is the source of joy and earthly blessings, Venus will be in tense aspects in relation to the planets Saturn and Neptune. The last time such an aspect of Venus was at the end of November and beginning of December 2024. These are days when you may encounter the understanding that, despite all your rationality and practicality, money, your income, resources, they still go to some ineffective activities, go to some, in fact, unnecessary and inappropriate purchases. These are also days when you may encounter reproaches and criticism directed at you, with disapproval from some people. On December 24th, the planet Venus moves into your third house of the horoscope, where it will remain until January 19th. Venus, its transit, brings more pleasure, more harmony to the sector through which it transits. And the third house, where Venus will be located, for you the third house is the sector of informational interaction with the surrounding world. Therefore, this is a time when there will be pleasant meetings, pleasant conversations, calls, when you will feel that people are interested in you, that they want to communicate with you. This is a time when you will be invited somewhere, or you can invite someone somewhere, to some beautiful and pleasant place. This is a time when a trip may take place. A trip not far, not for long. It could be, for example, an invitation to the theater or to some restaurant. That is, some interesting and pleasant event for you may take place at this time. Also, at this time, your relationships with your immediate environment will improve and harmonize. Also, the third house is the house of accessories and the house that symbolizes means of communication and transport. And Venus symbolizes jewelry, beauty, harmony. Therefore, this is a time when you will want to acquire some accessories. These can be jewelry, it can be a mobile phone, laptop, or other means of communication or transport. On December 30th, the planet Mercury will be in a tense aspect in relation to the planet Saturn. This is the final tense aspect of the year. It may bring you the need to explain something to someone, to prove your point of view. Here, a rather strict conversation with people who dispute your opinion or make any claims against you may take place. On this day, there may be disruptions in plans or some additional load in some additional task that was not part of your plans for this day. On December 31st, the final day of 2025, will gift us with a favorable aspect between the planet Mars and the karmic lunar nodes. This aspect repeatedly enhances the influence of our kind words, kind intentions, and wishes. Therefore, on this day, you should not skimp on kind wishes, both for yourself and for people close to you. Your kind words and actions towards both yourself and other people throughout this day literally reset karma and cleanse it. Therefore, do good if possible. Yes, on Scorpios lies a difficult mission in relation to people, the mission to return to people their inner purity. However, this does not always happen in a way that these people do not resist. Probably one day they will not even remember that it was you who gave them the necessary point of support. But this is your mission. Everyone has one. Therefore, do good. That's all the information for today. I wish you a wonderful, successful month, dear Scorpios.